Amara pressed her palm against the glass. 37 floors below, Seoul pulsed with neon and noise, but up here, in this corner office at 2 a.m., the only sound was her boss's breathing and the lie she was telling herself. "I should go," she whispered. He didn't stop her. That's when she knew. But let's rewind. Because love doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It creeps in through the cracks you didn't know you had, wearing a face you never expected, speaking a language that sounds like safety until you realize it's goodbye. 3 months earlier, Amara Cole stood in Incheon Airport with one suitcase and a contract that promised 12 months of corporate consulting. She was 32, brilliant in the quiet way that made men uncomfortable, and tired of being extraordinary in a world that only rewarded her competence, never her softness. The fluorescent lights made everyone look sick, but she'd learned to carry exhaustion like jewelry. Her reflection in the glass partition showed what Seoul would see. Dark skin that glowed despite the harsh lighting, natural hair pulled into a neat bun, eyes that had learned to assess before they softened. She wasn't running from anything. That's what she told herself. She was running toward something unnamed, something that felt like permission to finally breathe. If you're already hooked, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This story doesn't go where you think it does. Trust me. The taxi ride into the city felt like entering a living creature. Buildings stacked on buildings. Light pollution so thick the stars had surrendered. Her driver spoke no English. She spoke no Korean. They communicated through nods and the universal language of Google Maps. When he dropped her at the service department in Gangnam, he smiled and said something that sounded like a blessing. She bowed slightly, unsure if she was doing it right. Inside her apartment, the silence was clean and expensive. Floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, a bed that looked like it had never held a nightmare. She sat on the edge of it, still in her coat, and let the weight of the decision settle. No family here, no friends, no history, just potential and the kind of freedom that feels dangerously close to loneliness. Her phone buzzed. A message from HR. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., Han Group headquarters. Ask for CEO Han Jae-Min directly. He requested you specifically. Requested specifically. She turned the phrase over in her mind. Her reputation had traveled faster than she had. 3 years at McKinsey, 2 successful turnarounds for Fortune 500 companies, and a profile in Forbes Korea that called her the strategist who sees what others miss. She'd built her career on being underestimated and then being unforgettable. She didn't sleep that night. Instead, she stood at the window and watched Seoul refuse to rest, wondering what kind of man requests a consultant at CEO level, what kind of man builds an empire at 36 and still works at midnight, what kind of man earns a reputation for being untouchable. The morning arrived cold and sharp. October in Seoul bit differently than autumn back home in Chicago. She dressed in armor. Black suit, white blouse, minimal jewelry, hair sleek. Her reflection in the elevator looked ready for war. Good. She'd learned that looking bulletproof was sometimes the same as being bulletproof. Han Group headquarters rose like a steel monument to ambition. The lobby was all marble and cold light, the kind of space designed to make you feel small. She signed in at security, received a visitor badge, and was escorted to a private elevator by a young woman who bowed 3 times before speaking. "Mr. Han is expecting you. 37th floor. He is." She paused, searching for words. "He is very precise. Please don't be nervous." "I'm not nervous," Amara lied. The elevator climbed in silence. Her stomach dropped with each floor, but she kept her face still. When the doors opened, she stepped into a space that felt more like an art gallery than an office. Glass walls, minimalist design, and there, standing with his back to her, looking out at the city like he owned every brick of it, was Han Jae-Min. He turned. The first thing she noticed wasn't his face. It was his stillness. Most powerful men moved with aggressive energy, claiming space. He didn't move at all. He simply existed with such precision that the room rearranged itself around him. Tall, sharp features softened by careful grooming. Black suit that fit like it was born on him. Eyes that assessed without aggression, calculated without coldness. He was beautiful in the way expensive things are beautiful, intimidating and untouchable. Ms. Cole. His English was perfect, accent barely there. Welcome to Han Group. He extended his hand. She took it. The handshake was brief, professional, and yet her skin registered something her brain refused to name. Not attraction, recognition. Like two people who'd been lonely in exactly the same way had just found each other's frequency. Thank you for having me, Mr. Han. Please sit. He gestured to a conference table that could seat 12 but held only 2 chairs, positioned across from each other. I've reviewed your work. You fixed Collins and Meyer in 18 months. Everyone said it was impossible. I don't believe in impossible. I believe in expensive and worth it. The corner of his mouth moved. Not a smile. Acknowledgement. Good. Because Han Group is both. He laid out the situation with surgical precision. The company was bleeding market share to younger, more agile competitors. The board was old guard, resistant to change. His father, the founder, was dying but still holding the reins. Jae-Min needed someone from outside, someone who owed nothing to legacy, someone who could see clearly. Why me specifically? She asked. He paused. The silence stretched just long enough to feel intentional. Because you understand what it means to be underestimated. And you've weaponized it. Her heart kicked once, hard. No one had ever said it like that. So plainly, so seen. I'll need full access. Financial records, personnel files, board meeting minutes. No sacred cows. You'll have it. And if I recommend something your father hates, then you recommend it anyway. His eyes didn't waver. I'm not hiring you to tell me what I want to hear. She nodded slowly. Then we have a deal. They shook hands again. This time, neither of them let go quite as quickly. The moment extended, just a heartbeat too long, before he released her and stepped back. My assistant will get you set up. Office on the 36th floor. Direct line to me. He returned to the window, dismissing her without cruelty. Ms. Cole, welcome to Seoul. She left feeling like she'd just signed something more binding than a contract. The first 3 weeks blurred into spreadsheets and strategy sessions. She arrived before dawn, left after dark. Her Korean was terrible, but numbers spoke every language. She identified redundancies, outdated processes, managers who'd built kingdoms of inefficiency. She made enemies quickly and didn't apologize for it. But it was the late nights that changed everything. The nights when the office emptied and the only light came from his office and hers, 2 floors apart, both refusing to surrender to exhaustion. He'd message her. Simple things at first. Still working. Are you? Coffee? And she'd find herself in his office at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, drinking coffee that cost more than her first car, talking about markets and margins and somehow, without meaning to, talking about everything else. He told her about his father, a man who'd built an empire from nothing and measured love in profit margins. A man who'd never asked his son what he wanted, only what he'd achieved. Jae-min had learned to be perfect because being human wasn't an option. She told him about being the only black woman in every room, about how excellence had to be twice as loud to be heard at half the volume, about the exhaustion of being strong because vulnerability was a luxury she couldn't afford. "Do you ever get tired?" he asked one night, the city glittering below them like spilled diamonds. "Every day." "Then why don't you stop?" She looked at him, really looked, saw the shadows under his eyes that expensive skincare couldn't hide, the way his shoulders carried weight even when he sat. "Why don't you?" He smiled, actually smiled. It transformed his face from beautiful to devastating. Touché. Comment below. Have you ever felt truly seen by someone who could never be yours? Let me know. The shift happened so gradually she didn't notice until it was too late. He started remembering things. How she took her coffee. That she hated small talk. That she worked better with music. One morning, she found noise-canceling headphones on her desk with a note. For focus. JM. Another night, working late, she mentioned she missed good soul food. The next day, lunch arrived from a restaurant she'd never heard of. Korean fried chicken with gochujang sauce that tasted like home and heat combined. The note said, "Not quite Chicago, but close. JM." She was falling. Slow and inevitable like winter turning to spring. She told herself it was admiration, professional respect, the comfort of working with someone who matched her intensity. She was lying. 2 months in, everything crystallized. A board meeting that went sideways. Old men in expensive suits, dismissing her recommendations, barely concealing their contempt. One of them, Vice President Choi, actually called her aggressive for suggesting they streamline their supply chain. She kept her face neutral, but her hands clenched under the table. She'd been called worse. She'd survived worse. But the word landed like it always did, like a paper cut that wouldn't stop stinging. Jae-min's voice cut through the murmurs. Cold, precise, lethal. "Gentlemen, everyone shut up. Ms. Cole was brought here because this company is dying. Your feelings about her methods are irrelevant. The question is, do you want to survive, or do you want to be comfortable?" Silence. "I thought so. This meeting is over. Ms. Cole's recommendations will be implemented immediately." He walked out. The room emptied behind him like water draining. Choi shot her a look that promised consequences. She didn't flinch. Later, she found Jae-min in his office, staring at nothing. "You didn't have to do that," she said softly. "Yes, I did." He turned. His jaw was tight. "They disrespected you because they're afraid. Fear makes people cruel. I can handle cruel. I know you can." He stepped closer, not touching, never touching, but close enough that she could smell his cologne, something woody and clean. "But you shouldn't have to. Not here." Her throat tightened. When was the last time someone had defended her without being asked? When was the last time someone made her feel like she wasn't just strong, but worthy of protection? "Thank you," she whispered. His eyes held hers. Something passed between them, heavy and unspoken. Then he stepped back, shattering the moment. "It's late. You should go home." But she didn't want to go home. She wanted to stay in this office, in this moment, in this feeling of being seen. She wanted to close the distance between them and see if he'd let her. Instead, she nodded. "Good night, Jae-min." She used his first name without thinking. He noticed. She saw it register in the slight widening of his eyes, the pause before he responded. "Good night, Amara." After that, something changed. The formality cracked. They became Amara and Jae-Min, not Ms. Cole and Mr. Han. They shared meals that weren't business lunches. He showed her Seoul, not tourist Seoul, but his soul. Quiet restaurants where the owners knew his name. Side streets with hole-in-the-wall cafes. A bookstore that stayed open until 2 a.m. where they browsed in comfortable silence. He never touched her, never flirted, never crossed a line, and somehow that made it worse, because what was growing between them felt bigger than attraction. Felt like understanding, like coming home to a person instead of a place. She caught herself thinking about him at odd moments. The way he concentrated when he worked, pen tapping against his desk. The rare laugh that sounded rusty from disuse. How he said her name with careful pronunciation, like it mattered to get it right. One night, after a particularly brutal week, they sat in his office with the lights dimmed, just the city glow illuminating them. She was exhausted. He looked destroyed. "Do you ever feel like you're living someone else's life?" he asked quietly. She turned to him. His face was unguarded, vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. "What do you mean?" "Like, the person everyone sees isn't who you are. You're just performing them. And the performance is so good, so convincing, that you've forgotten there's anyone underneath." Her chest ached. Every single day. He looked at her then, really looked, and in his eyes, she saw something that made her breath catch. Longing, not for her body, for her understanding, for the permission to be real. "Amara, he stopped, swallowed. "You make me want to be honest." "Then be honest." He opened his mouth, closed it. The moment stretched, fragile and aching. Then his phone buzzed. The spell broke. He glanced at the screen, and something shuddered in his face. "I should answer this. It's important." She nodded, standing. "I'll see you tomorrow." "Amara?" She paused at the door. "Thank you. For being here. For being you." She smiled, even though her heart was screaming. Always. Walking to her apartment, Seoul's neon bleeding into rain-slicked streets, she admitted what she'd been denying for weeks. She was in love with Han Jae-Min. Deeply, stupidly, irrevocably in love. And she had no idea if he felt the same. If you're still with me, smash that like button. Because what comes next is going to hurt. The discovery happened by accident. She'd left her phone at his office. Went back late, near midnight, used her keycard. The lights were off except for his desk lamp. He was in his private bathroom, and his phone was face up on the desk, screen lit with a new message. She wasn't trying to snoop. She was just there, and the name caught her eye. Minsu. The message preview showed, "How long do I stay invisible?" Her stomach dropped. Minsu. A man's name. A message that sounded like a lover, like someone waiting, like someone hidden. She grabbed her phone and left before he came out. She didn't sleep. Her mind spun theories, none of them good, all of them breaking her in different ways. The next 2 days were torture. She watched him, looked for signs. He was the same, professional, kind, careful. But now she saw things differently. How he never mentioned dating, never checked out women. How his smile never quite reached his eyes except when he was alone with her. And even then, it carried something like grief. On the 3rd day, she couldn't take it anymore. They were in his office, late again, always late. She put down her pen. Jae-Min, can I ask you something personal? He looked up, wary. Of course. Is there someone you love? The color drained from his face. Not defensiveness. Not anger. Fear. Pure, naked fear. Why do you ask? His voice was steady, but his hands trembled. Because I need to know if I'm fooling myself. The silence was crushing. He stood, walked to the window, put his forehead against the glass. She watched his shoulders rise and fall with breathing that looked like it hurt. Yes, he finally said. There's someone I love. Her heart cracked. Is it me? He turned. His eyes were wet. She'd never seen him cry, never imagined he could. I wish it were that simple. What does that mean? He crossed the room, sat across from her, and for the first time in all their late nights, he looked defeated. Amara, you are the most extraordinary woman I've ever met. You're brilliant and kind and brave in ways I'll never be. You make me laugh. You make me think. You make me feel less alone in a world where I've been isolated since birth. Then what's the problem? His laugh was broken. The problem is I can't give you what you deserve. Not because I don't want to, because I can't. You're not making sense. I know. He ran his hands through his hair, destroying its perfection. God, I know. I've been trying to figure out how to tell you, or if I should tell you, or if I should just let you think I'm a coward who can't commit. Tell me what, Jae-Min? He looked at her, tears on his face now, not bothering to hide them. I'm gay, Amara. I've known since I was 15. I've never told anyone. Not my family. Not my friends. No one. Except Min-soo. He's the person I've been hiding for 6 years. The world tilted. Not in the way she expected. Not with betrayal or anger. With understanding so profound it hurt worse than rejection ever could. Oh, she whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never meant to. I didn't plan for you to. I thought I could just be your friend and that would be enough. But then you became more important than I expected and I realized you were falling for me, and I didn't know how to stop it without losing you completely, and I'm a coward. I'm the worst kind of coward because I let you hope when I knew. Jae-Min. She reached across the table, took his hands. They were shaking. Stop. He stopped, looked at their joined hands like he couldn't believe she was still touching him. I'm not angry, she said softly. You should be. Maybe. But I'm not. Her own tears came now, hot and quiet. I'm heartbroken. But not because you lied. Because you couldn't tell the truth. He made a sound between a laugh and a sob. My father would disown me. The board would oust me. In Korea, being gay it's not illegal, but it's not accepted. Not for someone like me. Not for someone who's supposed to carry on the family name. Produce heirs. Be the perfect son. So you hide. So I hide. He squeezed her hands. And Min-soo hides. And we steal moments when we can. And it's not enough, it's never enough. But it's all I can give him. All I can give anyone. Does he know about me? Yes. I told him you were important. That you were becoming my best friend. He was happy for me. That's the kind of person he is. Too kind for someone as cowardly as me. Amara pulled her hands back gently. She needed to think without touching him, without the distraction of his warmth. Why me, Jae-Min? Why did you let me get this close? He wiped his face, regaining some composure. Because with you, I could breathe. You never wanted me to be perfect. You just wanted me to be real. And for a few hours a day in this office, I got to be someone who wasn't performing. I got to be a person instead of a position. You gave me that. I was selfish. I should have kept my distance. No. She surprised herself with the firmness. Don't do that. Don't make this dirty. What we had, what we have, it's real. Maybe it's not romantic for you, but it's real. It is romantic for me, just not the way you need. He looked at her with such tenderness it physically hurt. I love you, Amara. I need you to understand that. I love you in a way I've never loved anyone except Minsu. But I can't be with you. And it's killing me that I have to hurt you because I'm too weak to be honest with the world. She stood. Her legs were unsteady. I need time to process this, to figure out what this means. I understand. He stood too. For what it's worth, you're the bravest person I know. You live honestly. You don't hide who you are. You don't apologize for existing. I envy you that. I hide too, she said quietly. I hide how tired I am, how lonely, how much I wanted this to be real. It is real. I know. That's what makes it hurt. She left his office, left the building, walked Seoul streets until dawn, letting the city's heartbeat steady her own. By the time she reached her apartment, she'd made a decision. She couldn't stay, not because she was angry, because she loved him too much, because watching him perform perfection while hiding his truth would destroy them both, because he deserved to be free, and she deserved to be chosen, and neither of those things could happen while she was here. The resignation letter took 3 tries to write. Each version said the same thing in different words. I'm leaving not because you hurt me, but because staying would hurt us both. She left it on his desk the next morning early before he arrived. Then she went home and started packing. He called. She didn't answer. He messaged. She didn't respond. On the 3rd day, he showed up at her apartment. She almost didn't let him in, but she did. He looked wrecked, suit wrinkled, eyes bloodshot, human in a way she'd never seen. Please don't go. I have to. Why? Because every time I look at you, I see 2 people. The man you are and the man you could be. And watching you hide is killing me, Jae-Min. I can't save you. You have to save yourself. I'm not ready. I know. That's why I'm leaving. He sat on her couch, head in his hands. I don't know how to do this without you. Yes, you do. You've been surviving long before I got here. She sat beside him, not touching. You're stronger than you think. You just need to believe it. What if I come out and lose everything? Then you'll build something new, something honest, something yours. She finally reached out, touched his face, made him look at her. You're already losing everything, Jae-Min. Slowly, piece by piece. This way, at least you'll know what you're made of. He caught her hand, held it against his cheek. I don't deserve you. You don't deserve to hate yourself. That's the real problem. They sat like that, quiet and broken, until the light changed outside the windows. Finally, he stood. If I do this, if I find the courage, will you come back? No. She smiled through tears. But we can get coffee. As friends. As people who loved each other bravely, even when it hurt. He nodded, kissed her forehead. Nothing romantic, just reverence. You were my bravest season, Amara Cole. You were mine too. He left. She finished packing. 3 days later, she was on a plane back to Chicago, Seoul shrinking beneath her, carrying a love story that would never be told, but would never be forgotten. 18 months passed. She threw herself into work, built her own consulting firm, dated, moved on in all the ways that matter except the one that doesn't. Her heart remembered Seoul in quiet moments, remembered a man who taught her that love doesn't always look like possession. Then one morning, scrolling through news while drinking coffee, she saw the headline. Han Group CEO comes out as gay, steps down from family business. Her hands shook. She read the article 3 times. He'd done it. Left the company. Publicly acknowledged Min-soo. Faced his father's rage and the board's judgment. He'd chosen honesty over legacy. The article included a quote. "I spent my life being who others needed me to be. It's time I figured out who I actually am. I'm grateful to someone who showed me that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something matters more than the fear." She cried. Not from heartbreak. From pride. 6 months later, her phone buzzed with an unknown Seoul number. "Is this Amara Cole?" "This is she." "Hi. This is Min-soo, Jae-min's boyfriend, partner. We're still figuring out terminology." A soft laugh. "He talks about you often. I wanted to say thank you for whatever you said to him. He's different now. Happier. Honest." Her throat tightened. "How is he?" "Messy. Learning. Human. You'd like him." A pause. "He wants to see you. If you're ever in Seoul. No pressure. Just coffee. He said you'd understand. Tell him yes. Tell him I'm proud of him." "I will. Thank you, Amara, for giving him permission to be real." They met 3 months later in that same bookstore that stayed open until 2 a.m. He looked different. Hair longer. Smile easier. Wearing jeans and a sweater instead of a suit. Min-soo was beside him, holding his hand openly. A gentle presence with kind eyes. "Amara." Jae-min hugged her. She hugged back. "You did it." "I did it. Lost the company. Lost my father. But I found myself. Fair trade." They got coffee. Talked for hours. About his new consulting firm, small, honest, his own. About Min-soo's photography gallery. About Amara's business, her new life. They laughed. They cried a little. They remembered who they were to each other. As they parted, Jae-min squeezed her hand. "You saved my life." "No. I just held up a mirror." "Same thing." She hugged them both. These two men who'd found each other despite everything. And walked back into the Seoul night carrying something lighter than heartbreak. Carrying gratitude. For the love that didn't work but made them both braver. For the ending that wasn't happy but was honest. For the lesson that sometimes the most beautiful thing you can do for someone is let them go. Before you leave this story, do me one favor. Subscribe if you believe in love that transforms even when it doesn't last. Hit that notification bell because everyone deserves stories that feel real. And comment below. What's the bravest thing you've ever done for love? I read every single one. Amara flew home the next day, Seoul disappearing beneath clouds, and for the first time in 2 years, her heart felt complete. Not because she'd gotten her happy ending, because she'd gotten her honest one. And maybe, just maybe, that was better. Some love stories don't end in forever. They end in freedom. And sometimes that's the most beautiful ending of all. If this story moved you, if it made you feel something real, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to love and let go. Drop a like if you stayed until the end. Leave a comment telling me which moment hit you hardest. And if you want more stories that don't shy away from the messy, beautiful truth of being human, subscribe and join this community. We're building something honest here, something that matters. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, be brave, be honest, and remember, some endings are just different kinds of beginnings.